So Joe Biden addressed the nation last night from the Oval Office, and I want to note again that the audio levels were raised on Joe Biden so that you could hear a lot of the background. You could hear, for example, someone turning pages. The reason is because Joe Biden was speaking quietly. They had to boost the levels on his microphone. So let me do an experiment for you here. So I got my levels here. Now I'm going to raise my levels up like this. I sound really overmodulated, don't I? Now I'm back down to where I should be. I have a slider and I can raise what the microphone picks up. And you hear that shh in the background. That's the microphone picking up the air. You don't hear that here with me because of the quality of the microphone I've got. But I've also got, let me do something for you real quick. Let me do something. I've got a lavalier microphone that I use for my TV hits. I'm going to put this on here. Now, hang on a second. Okay, so I've muted my regular microphone, and right now I'm talking to you on the other microphone that I normally would use for a TV hit. Now, this also is actually a really good microphone, and it's designed to not pick up as much, but you can hear the difference between the two. Okay, now I'm back to my regular microphone. Now, why go through the effort of doing that for you? Because I need to point out to you that what's going on here is Joe Biden is speaking so quiet that they're having to boost levels with the lavalier mic that he's using to address the nation that's clipped on, that you tend to not notice on the suit. It's like what anchors on television wear. They're having to raise it because one of the symptoms in Parkinson's is a quiet voice. I think when he leaves office, we'll find out that, in fact, he has been battling Parkinson's. Now, as for his speech itself, let's dive into his speech, and I want to play you first the ending, and I'll give you my take. It was a fine speech for a president who I don't care for. It was probably the best speech Biden has actually given. It was more uplifting, more rah-rah America. It was far less partisan. Now, if you're a committed partisan, of course, you're going to view everything through the partisan lens. Yes, he praised Kamala Harris, but as I told you guys yesterday, he wasn't going to turn the speech into a rally for Kamala Harris because it's a presidential speech from the Oval Office. There actually are rules about presidents and using the Oval Office and things like that for partisanship purposes. So he mentioned Kamala, but he didn't devote a whole lot of time to her. He never mentions Trump. He does talk about democracy. It was a fine speech. His ending, very rah-rah America. I think the ending of his speech was just fine.
Resolute desk in the Oval Office as President of the United States. But here I am. That's what's so special about America. We're a nation of promise and possibilities, of dreamers and doers, of ordinary Americans doing extraordinary things. I've given my heart and my soul to our nation, like so many others. I've been blessed a million times in return with the love and support of the American people. I hope you have some idea how grateful I am to all of you. The great thing about America is here, kings and dictators do not rule, the people do. History is in your hands. The power is in your hands. The idea of America lies in your hands. You just have to keep faith, keep the faith. And remember who we are. We're the United States of America. And there's simply nothing beyond our capacity when we do it together. So let's act together, preserve our democracy. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.
Look, that's a good ending for a speech. I don't care who you are. That would work with any president of the United States. It was a good rah-rah, America's awesome. A boy with a stutter from Scranton can get to the Oval Office behind the resolute desk that other presidents have said. It was perfectly fine. But notice one of the things I want to point out to you is he talks about America as the idea. This is very intentional. You can't tell me it's not. And the reason is because J.D. Vance caused quite a stir in his speech at the RNC that people say America is an ideal, and actually America is a land, it's blood and soil, it's what we die for. I think that you have to combine both visions, and unfortunately what we're getting is a great division between is America an idea and an ideal, or is America just blood and soil? And I think J.D. Vance is wrong to pour everything into the basket of its blood and soil and saying people die for their land, because people die for ideas, people die for ideals, people die for stories, people go to war for the ideal. I think Vance is wrong that he was going off to fight for blood and soil. I mean, maybe himself he was. I'm not going to doubt his own story, but a lot of people, they went because they believe in this idea of America. At the same time, I think Joe Biden puts all of his baskets in the ideal of America, which there is a lot of truth to, except there is blood and soil as well. I am an American. I have a physical location where I live. And I think that both parties, by dividing up one blood and soil and one idea, is totally missing the boat, that America is both. We are an idea and an ideal. America is an idea that any person on the planet Earth can embrace and come to. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. We are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Any person can come here to this great meritocracy, and a poor person can become a wealthy person. An immigrant from abroad can come here. An immigrant from Jamaica can come here and marry an immigrant from India, and their daughter can become vice president of the United States. But when you get to that position, you're not just fighting for the idea of America. You are fighting for blood and soil. You're fighting for land. You're fighting for a people. Now, people come here and they amalgamate. They merge in the melting pot. It's one of the things I despise about the left and their idea that we're a salad bowl. We're not a salad bowl. You know the two ideas, and the left's idea is we're a salad bowl. That the lettuce stays the lettuce, the dressing stays the dressing, the tomato stays the tomato. In other words, the Hispanic stays Hispanic, the black stays black, the white stays white, the Asian stays Asian. No, that's absolutely not the truth. We blend. The taco becomes as American as the hamburger, becomes as American as a pot of gumbo, becomes as American as a bowl of chowder. We're a melting pot. We're an idea, and we're also blood and soil. But it's a fine speech. Look, the problem here is that the media, after the speech was over, insisted on putting on a bunch of Democrats to have orgasms over Joe Biden's speech. They would never do that. If it was Donald Trump, if it was George Bush, if it was Ronald Reagan, they would have Democrats and Republicans on immediately together afterwards. Instead, they had all the gang. And you've got David Axelrod, who I know and like, saying, this is incredible, Joe Biden giving up power. He's not giving up power. He's just not running for reelection. You guys threw him under the bus. That's what's happening here. He's not running for reelection, but he's not walking away from power and giving it to Kamala Harris.
A cause of American democracy itself must unite to protect it. You know, in recent weeks, it's become clear to me that I need to unite my party in this critical endeavor. I believe my record as president, my leadership in the world, my vision for America's future, all merited a second term. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition. So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. That's the best way to unite our nation.
The best way to unite our nation. And notice he started with, I'm doing it for my party. Put party before country because your party's kicking you out. I mean, essentially what Joe Biden's speech and what the media wants you to be, it's such a good speech. Look, it was a good speech. As a presidential speech from the Oval Office, it was a good speech. It was not an explicitly partisan speech, though I realize if you're a super partisan, you hear everything through a partisan lens, and you can't acknowledge at this point that a Democratic president can be your president or a Republican president can be your president. It was a fine presidential speech, but it was also premised on a lie. And the lie was that I've done so much, I can't run for president again. I've done so much good. Really? Joe Biden is not running for president again because Joe Biden's party turned against him, because the party tried to cover up the fact that there was something wrong with Joe Biden that is now visible for the world to see. But that's a layer of multiple layers, and one of the other layers is that Joe Biden was already losing because of his economy, because of crime, because of global inflation, because of the military calamity around the world. Joe Biden was leaving because Americans didn't feel like they were benefiting from his policies, even as he lectured them regularly that Bidenomics, as he called it, was a good thing. Joe Biden's leaving not because he was a good president, but because he was a failed president. And the media that is now deleting things so that you can't see what they used to say about Kamala Harris and correcting things that they used to say about Kamala Harris for Kamala Harris, they were done covering for him. And in the last month, Democrats have finally felt what it's like to be a Republican when the media comes for you. And they didn't like it, but the media covered for him the whole time. And as he goes out the door, the media will say all sorts of glowing things about Joe Biden because Joe Biden got out of the way for another Democrat because they knew he couldn't win. That's the only reason we're getting this glowing love fest from people on television about Joe Biden who are lying to this day about his record, saying he did all this good. Joe Biden broke the economy. He caused inflation for the first time in a generation. Joe Biden did all of these bad things to the American economy and destabilized the globe while blaming Donald Trump for it. And the Democrats are patting him on the back and saying, way to go, Joe, as they shoved him out the window. And you know and I know damn well that if Kamala Harris loses in November, the same Democrats who are tonight comparing him to George Washington will be treating him like Benedict Arnold. If you don't realize that that is the truth, you have not been paying attention.